Hi guys! So, I apologize that my video is not on Wednesday like it's supposed to be. Um, and it's actually kind of a funny story. I knew I was supposed to make a video for something, but I didn't know what for. So I pulled out my camera, my webcam, and I set it up, and I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to be making a video for. So I ended up just making one for my blog, and so yeah, that's why there wasn't a video on Wednesday. But I'm here today with my family holiday Christmas traditions, I guess, which I have to really agree with Annie. Um, I'm not I haven't like permanently moved away like her, moving in with her fiance and that sort of thing. But I've been living with my sister for the last 2 years, and the Christmas before that, I was living with my brother out of the country. And so for the last couple Christmases, last couple years, it's like I haven't really been at an established been like established somewhere exactly. Um, um, sorry. Okay, but so I'll tell you just kind of some of the traditions that I had growing up, since I really don't have any traditions right now. Um, the first thing I thought of was our family every year would go to hear the Handel's Messiah. I think it was the first weekend in December, either the first weekend in December or the last in November, one or the other. And ever since, long before I can remember, probably before I was even born, my parents took me and my siblings to go hear the Handel's Messiah. And um, it's a really unique thing. It's in this tiny little town about an hour and a half from us. And it's a really big church, and there's about 200 volunteers who sing the Hallelujah chorus, but they hire professional soloists to come in and sing the rest, because they sing the entire Handel's Messiah. Um, but then only the volunteers sing the Hallelujah chorus. And my sister actually volunteered one time along with a couple other people from my church. Anyway, so yeah, we would go hear that, and then afterwards we would go to this tiny little restaurant. It was just a hole in the wall, really. Um, and I think it was called the Palmer House. I could be mixed up on that, but in my mind, that's what I want to call it. But they've since closed, and so back in the day, they didn't have like all these little chain restaurants. The town is so tiny, but now I think they have like a Pizza Hut and Taco Bell and a few little places like that. So now we kind of have to go like that, and it kind of, it ruins it just a little bit that, you can't go to this kind of little hole in the wall place, have to go to some commercialized place, but it's still special. And I think it's actually really cool, kind of unique, that I grew up enjoying listening to the entire Handel's Messiah. I don't think that's probably too common. Um, I don't want to listen to it every week, but once a year is really fun. Okay, what else? Another thing, I guess, we we don't believe in Santa Claus and that whole, part of Christmas that most of the world celebrates. So Christmas isn't exactly about like just the day or Christmas Eve or whatever like that. It's more just about celebrating Christ's birth, and it's just more of a season for us. So we don't have like a specific like Christmas Day traditions or anything like that that we do, but normally around, Christmas sometime, we would get together with my grandparents. We lived next door to them, excuse me, and have a special meal. And since me and my family were the only ones of my grandparents' grandkids, or my mom was their only child that lived close, so it wasn't like a big family thing. So what we would do is, what we called it was getting people from the highways and byways. We would kind of collect random people who didn't have any family, or who were like single, older single people from church, or the neighbor that's kind of weird that nobody really wants to invite to their party, um, or something like that. And we would get all these people together and we would just have a nice meal. Um, but it's nothing like specific food like the rest of the girls are talking about. I found it really interesting that you guys have to have like this food and this food and this specific brunch or whatever, which I think is really cool, but I guess my family is just boring and we just throw together whatever. um, Whatever sounds good to us at the time. Um, but then another thing I can think of is, we don't like we're not like huge on the whole gift exchange thing. Like we don't just go like all blown out like buy a present for every single person or anything like that. But when we usually do like a little gift exchange, and whenever we did that, um, we would always read the Christmas story first. And I actually had to go look it up in my Bible because I could not for the life of me remember what passage we read. But we read, no, I'm not going to read it to you. It's long. Um, but it's Luke 2, 1 through 20. Um, so we would always read that first, and then we were allowed to open our presents. Um, So, other than that, I think that's really all. Um, yeah, and especially now that I live away from home, and all my siblings were really scattered across the country. We don't really have like kind of, like the whole Messiah thing is kind of blown up because now it's only my mom who lives like in the area where I grew up, and um, I think she went, but it's kind of sad, that it's no longer like our family tradition. But it is a tradition like in my heart, and it's something like every year since then I'm always like, what can I find? I want to go to some like Messiah concert, even if it's an orchestra, like the one that we went to. It wasn't like any orchestra. All they had was a piano, an organ, and a trumpet. Um, so it was like mostly a cappella. And but every year since then, I always have like this really like huge longing to find something that I can replace it with, but they're always like 40, 50, $60, and I'm like, no way am I paying that, because our thing that we went to was completely free. And so yeah, those are my traditions. I would love to hear what yours are, any of you watching our videos. Um, and I apologize about the hair. It's going to be very afro-ish tomorrow because, well, I guess that doesn't really matter on this channel. Anyway, so I hope you all have a fabulous Christmas. We are taking next week off, so I won't see you until after the new year. So I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas and are feeling well enough to enjoy this season and the new year. And I'll talk to you next year. Bye.